Hello! And welcome back, SMAGpies. Today I'm going to show you how to cook stir fry with basically 3 main ingredients, some spices, and an alternative to soy sauce. It's pretty tasty and I hope you like it. Let's go heat some oil. The nice sizzling sound of chicken and hot oil. We're going to go ahead and prepare the chicken and get it mostly cooked before we add our vegetables. And for oil, I'm just using a regular canola oil because I want something that's mild and isn't going to influence the taste. If I had sesame oil, I would use that. Unfortunately, we're out. But olive oil isn't quite the right flavor that we're going for, and olive oil does have a pretty distinct flavor. So since we can't have sesame oil, we're going with generic corn oil. Another good regular, like not strong flavored oil that you might use is sunflower oil. It also has a little bit more interesting health benefits to it than corn oil, but alas, I have corn oil tonight. And I've sprinkled some pepper flakes in with the chicken, and they're not super spicy, but they will add just a little bit of a kick to it, make it a little bit more interesting. This stir fry is going to be pretty simple tonight. It's just going to be chicken, which we're pan searing right now, some lovely oh gosh, okay, I have cauliflower, broccoli, that's it. Broccoli heads, just the tree parts, the treetops parts. And we're going to have some bamboo shoots as well. So not too many large ingredients here, but we're going to get a lot of flavor out of it by layering spices and other flavor elements to it. Really add a lot of what chefs have taken from the Japanese umami, meaning just flavor. We're going to do that by just layering things. And one of those first layers is our oil that's adding a fat and allowing us to cook it, but isn't adding too much of its own overpowering flavor to it. We have a meat and a resulting fat and everything. That adds another layer of flavor. And we have our pepper flakes. And the other thing we're going to do to season it is I have this mixture here of a soy sauce alternative. Unfortunately, my husband is allergic to soy, so we use this stuff called Coconut Secret, coconut aminos. And I think it comes from coconut bark, but I'm not 100% on that one. All I know is that it tastes pretty much like soy sauce, and it doesn't actually have soy in it. So I have that and a little bit of fish sauce, and I have some ginger powder and a little bit of cornstarch, so that's making it slightly thicker than it would be otherwise. And the fish sauce, I don't want things to taste too fishy, but because it is like almost a vinegar, it's been processed such that it just adds this other kind of salty layer of flavor to it. Okay, so we're browning our chicken, and this layer of darker brown stuff is going to start happening on the bottom of the skillet. And that's great because that's going to combine later with our sauce mixture and our other elements, and it's going to create this really nice pan sauce that we're going to be able to just spoon over the food when it's ready to be served. Alright, chicken is starting to brown. Another reason to do your chicken first is that you don't want to cross-contaminate like all of the bacteria and everything found on a raw meat with your raw vegetable, because of course the meat needs to be cooked for a higher temperature for longer than it would take for your broccoli to be done cooking. And so if any of those were to get on your broccoli, you might not cook it enough to kill it, and you could make yourself sick. And nobody wants to get sick from eating, especially not from eating food that they made themselves. So keep in mind when you're cooking, even at home, to just do some basics like wash your hands and keep raw meat off of raw vegetables and things like that. So I have my rice cooking. It's almost done. I'm using a rice cooker kind of off screen here. Look at how nice and golden brown our chicken is turning. So when it's kind of golden brown on both sides, we're going to put it in a separate bowl and just kind of put it off to the side. And we're going to add our broccoli and simmer that some. And then we'll pull it all together and let it cook together for a little while before serving it. Look at that. Nice pan sauce there. Or, well, the beginnings of. I'm using a large pan. It has a lot of surface area here, so it can really spread everything out and cook it so it's all touching, a hotter surface instead of being all on top of each other. And this is a great skillet. I got it from a restaurant supply store here in Jackson that is open to the public. So you can go there, whether you have a restaurant or not, and buy kitchen supplies. So this pan is rated for use in kitchens, and it has a really nice thick bottom to it. See? And that really nice thick bottom means that it's going to transfer heat better and more evenly, but it also means that it's not going to get super hot super quick. So you're not likely to, accidentally catch your oil on fire or anything. Alright, so our chicken is pretty brown on both sides. So we're going to transfer it to a small bowl to set on the side for a moment. So see, the pan is really hot right now. That's good. So there's that. I'm going to add just a little bit more oil to it. Look at all of that delicious brown stuff sticking there. That is good stuff. Alright, just a little bit more oil. And let that get hot for a second. I also like that this pan, being as big as it is, has this little handle on the other side. Alright, so now goes in our broccoli. You'll notice I'm using fresh broccoli and not frozen broccoli. You can use frozen vegetables in stir fry, but you're going to get a lot more popping on yourself, and you're going to get a lot more, it's not going to be as crispy, and it's going to take a little longer to cook because of all the moisture from the frozen vegetables. You'll want to make sure that they're thawed before you use them. I find that whenever possible, using fresh or maybe something that's canned but not frozen is usually a pretty good idea, because it does better with the quick heat, and cooks a lot faster and more evenly, and is a lot less soggy in the end than if you use a frozen vegetable. Alright, so we're going to cook in our broccoli now. We're going to let this cook down. As broccoli gets closer to being done, it's actually a very tender vegetable. It's a little bit on the sweet side. It's one of those ones that kids first learn to appreciate. It's like this, peas and carrots, the really sweet vegetables. And they look like trees, so you can always pretend like there's dinosaurs and you're a dinosaur and you're eating the tree. But it's gonna get a richer, darker green, kind of like this one's starting to get. And then they get a little bit tender. So we're gonna let these cook. Notice my pan's not quite that hot right now. I just added that oil to it, and I didn't have it up too high with the chicken. I only had it on medium, and I've turned it up to medium high. You can have it hotter and get more of that flash cooking sensation. We're obviously not reaching that level at the moment. Alright, so while those are starting to cook down, I'm going to go ahead and open our can of bamboo shoots. Now you know, in a stir fry you can cook just about any vegetable, just throw it in there and, you know, get some flank steak and cut it real thin and use that too for the beef. And it's a really versatile meal. It's one of the wonderful things about it. It's kind of like pizza in that sense. There's a few basics. Most people like vegetables and meat. Some people just want vegetables. And then you cook it real quick with some oil and some flavors, and you put it over ice, and it's wonderful. Alright. Now these bamboo shoots are, I mean, they're in a can, so they're already pretty tender. So we're going to wait a minute before those go on. Alright. Looking really good here. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more oil. And now the bamboo shoots. That loud hissing noise is the water steaming off of the bamboo shoots. Alright, things are starting to stick pretty good here. I'm going to add just a little bit more oil. And then oh no, the broccoli has left the pan. Oh well. And now we're going to add back the chicken. It does need to finish cooking a little bit. There we go. Listen to that. All those chickeny juices. And now we're also going to add in this mixture. And I mentioned earlier that I added some cornstarch to thicken it. It'll also help it stick to the food instead of just like running to the bottom of the pan. Oh, that smells nice. Smells real nice. That's how it's looking so far. You'll notice how things are looking pretty well coated. That's what you want. And look how bright green the stems are on the broccoli and how dark the heads are up here. Yes, this is looking nice. It's gonna be delicious. As you can see, I am totally using all of this large pan. And I'm cooking it right now. There's 2 of us that we're going to eat this, but we're also going to use it for leftovers during the week. So that's another great advantage to this meal. It reheats super well and can either feed quite a few people at once, or, 2 people for a few days. So, and I want that chicken to finish, so we're just gonna let it simmer. I'm actually gonna add a little bit of water to it, just to keep it from burning. But I'm gonna use my little cup so that any of this residual flavor goodness that didn't go on the pan when I first poured it will now make it onto the pan with the water. And like I said, so even though we only have chicken, broccoli, and bamboo shoots that's going to be put over rice, we do have lots of layers of flavors going on, from the meat juices to the pepper to the fish sauce, the coconut aminos standing in for soy sauce, and ginger powder, and the cornstarch to help those elements hold on to the pieces of food. All of that's going to add these other elements of flavor besides just what the main ingredients are bringing to it. So that's when you don't have many ingredients but you still want like a lot of flavor. That's where spices and oils can be your best friend. If you wanted to make this a little bit more interesting, you can always get sesame seeds and sprinkle them on, or other vegetables, bring in more vegetables to it, or including garlic. Garlic works really well with this, as well as fresh ginger. That's nice as well. So there's all kinds of things you can add to or play with your stir fry. And for the chicken, to make sure it's done, you want it to be a bit firm. If it's real squishy, then it's not quite ready yet. And some of mine's a little squishier than I want it. But I did cut rather thick pieces, so. And I did use a rice cooker for my rice. I tend to do that when I do stir fry, because with stir fry, once you start cooking things in the pan, you're pretty much constantly cooking things in the pan. So with the rice cooker, I can start my rice and make the rice and leave it alone and not have to worry about it. The rice cooker does all that for me. There are many other dishes where I like to cook the rice in the pan instead of in a rice cooker. But those are dishes where things tend to go a little bit more slowly, and I can pay a little bit more attention to the rice. So let me put this away and get rid of this little guy. see if we can get a little bit closer without ruining things. There we go. See a couple of my cookbooks there that I keep. How to Cook Everything by Mark Bittman, this red one here, is a fantastic cookbook, not just because of some of the recipes he has, but also because he actually explains how to prepare things. And it's, for that reason, it is so worth having. He also has one on how to cook everything vegetarian. He's really big on the grains and legumes and things like that, and so it's, if you're like, oh, I want to eat more vegetables, but I don't want it to be boring, check that out, because not only does he have a lot of, it's a whole book full of recipes on vegetables, but he also, like, talks about how to cook them, how to prepare them, things like that. Alright, my chicken is starting to feel firm. We are good, and look at this pan sauce, guys. You're going to be able to scrape that up and put it on the finished product. Delicious. Let me show you what it looks like when it's completely done. Serve it over rice. That's how it's traditionally done. And there you go, guys. You have a wonderful, delicious dinner. Well, thanks for joining me in the kitchen, and I hope you enjoyed this making of delicious stir fry. It would be simple, it will be tasty, and it will be tasty for quite a few helpings. Hope you enjoyed. Come back next week. We might cook something else, or we might make something else. We'll see. Thanks, everybody. Good night.